UFC 310 is in the books, and like we talked about, the card delivered. The card delivered above and beyond, really exciting fights. And today, I wanted to discuss, what some of these results mean and where these fighters go next, because the UFC, like we know, is an ever-evolving, moving beast, and things change so quickly. So let's go through the UFC 310 card and see who each of these guys are going to fight next. Let's jump into that main event. Alexandre Pantoja reminds everyone how dominant he is. They had to bring in new blood in Kai Asakura to bring a new challenge for Pantoja, Like we've seen his record, he has cleaned out this division. Regardless, he gets another dominating win, a sub under 2 rounds. It was a beautiful performance by Pantoja. Who are we going to see him fight next? He called out Demetrius Johnson. That's not happening. DJ, he's going to get nice and fat and happy. Rich. He's good. He's done more than enough in this sport. So who is Pantoja going to face next? We got to see Kai Kara-France in there. Kai Kara-France, building. Put together a couple good wins now. Beat Steven Erceg KO last time out. Although you have Brandon Royval there as well, also put together a couple wins. Pantoja's beaten him twice. Let's get Kai Kara-France in there. Bit of a fresher matchup. And as for Kai Asakura, very exciting guy. I would love to see him stay at the top of this division, in a fight with Brandon Moreno. I don't think Royval is going to take a fight like that. I think he's going to try and wait out for the title shot. And if that's the case, I think the perfect competitor is Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno, Kai Asakura, sign me up. I think it'd be a great fight. But after we've seen, Asakura's holes in the grappling a little bit, maybe Moreno has a path to victory there. But nonetheless, I would love to see that fight. Sign me up. In the co-main event, Shavkat Rakhmonov secures his title shot against Belal Muhammad. That's the clear next matchup there. And for Ian Garry, I think he really proved himself to be elite in this division. Like, the guy deserves to be in the top, fighting the best contenders in the world. He's right up there. He's the first person that made Shavkat look human, took him the distance. There's a name at welterweight that people seem to be forgetting about. It is the perfect next fight for Ian Garry. Let's do an all UK showdown, and let's go Leon Edwards in London. Let's do the main event of London in March. Leon Edwards, Ian Garry, 5 rounds. There's training history there. I think that's the perfect next fight. Stylistically, I think it's going to be a really, really, closely contested fight. Like I said, there's training history there. Apparently, Leon Edwards hurt Garry with a head kick before. Apparently, he cleaned him up with a head kick in training. So these are all just stories. And as we saw on Saturday night with Shavkat and Ian, until you get in there 100%, training doesn't mean anything. So Leon Edwards, the main event of London, get Garry in there. I think that's the perfect next fight, the perfect next matchup. And both guys coming off a loss right at the top of the division. Winner stays up, and the loser, is in a really tough spot. But like I said, that is going to garner so much attention from the UK. And to have that as a main event there for the people, England versus Ireland, I think it would be spectacular. So that's the perfect next fight for Garry. He really, really proved to everyone tonight that he belongs at the top of this division. So I think Edwards is the perfect next fight for Garry. Gane and Volkov, we got to run that thing back immediately. Yes, they've fought twice already, but there's no one else. Those two are the top contenders, apart from Aspinall Jones. And, if Jones and Aspinall don't fight, then we can talk about Cyril Gane, Tom Aspinall. But until then, rematch that fight. Volkov got so hard done by. I think you run that one back straight away. In the Battle of the Flat Earthers, Bryce Mitchell, gets that beautiful slam KO. And I think he rolls Kron Gracie from the UFC, to be honest. I think that's Kron Gracie's last fight. Bryce Mitchell, he's climbing back up into the top 15. I would love to see Thug Nasty versus another guy on this card, Aljamain Sterling. That would be a grappler's delight. Sign me up for that fight. We saw beautiful grappling transitions, in that Aljamain Sterling Evloev fight, and I think it would just be beautiful as well against Thug Nasty. I would love to see that fight next. Thug Nasty moving up in the division a little bit, Aljamain having to rebuild. against someone a little bit lower after a tough loss. So, and as for the fight, could you guys imagine, like I said, how closely contested all of the grappling would be? Yeah, that's the next one for sure. The Korean Superboy, Doohoo Choi. Get him into the top 15. The guy's been around for a long time and was fighting, ranked opposition before he left for his military service. He's back now and he's put together some good wins. Let's get him in there against Dan Ige, someone who, is the ultimate benchmark whether or not you're ready for the top 10, top 15. So I think Choi is ready for a matchup like that. 32, he's been around for a while, and his skills on Saturday night, he was head and shoulders above Nate everywhere the fight went. And Nate Landwehr's not a bad fighter at all. So let's get Doohoo Choi into the top 15. What better name than Dan Ige to test if he's really about it or not? The last one I want to talk about, Movsar Evloev. Yes, this fight was on the prelims, but come on, guys. The next fight, Evloev is now, 9-0 in the UFC? Let's get him in there against Diego Lopez. He's beat him already, yes. But these guys need 25 minutes to settle that. And with Volkanovski being tied up to Topuria, we don't know when Topuria is going to fight. Diego Lopez, he's going to be sitting around a while. I think him versus Evloev, rematch, main event on a fight night in the Apex potentially. I think that's a really, really interesting fight. And Lopez has got everything to prove because, yes, he was coming in on short notice. And yes, he won so many fans that night. But Evloev did get the unanimous decision. So, yeah, let's run that one back. The clear two best contenders in the division, behind Volk, obviously. Volk's the legend, and he's getting his shot. But let's sort out who's next by, these two guys. It's clear, head and shoulders above the rest of the division. So I would love to see the rematch. Evloev has not got that finish yet, but how can you deny someone who has won 9 fights in a row in the UFC? You can only do this for so long before you find yourself in a title fight. Let me know what you guys think about the matchups that I mentioned. I think there's some really, really intriguing fights in there. And I would love to hear your thoughts on the card that just went, UFC 310 as well. There's some really, really fun results, fun fights, and lots of talking points coming out. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would really, really appreciate that. And we will chat soon.